Welcome to Entry Points Radio. Every week we share human-curated playlists to break the algorithm. We're going to take a deep dive into new tracks, new humans, and new sounds to fall in love with from around the world. I'm Kate Bass.
And I'm Richie Stagner. We founded Global Music Collective to discover and create new music across boundaries. We've spent the past decade meeting fascinating people in over 50 countries.
These are the real songs and real stories that we share with real people along the way. This is Entry Points Radio.
Richie's List.
Ellington.
There we are. All right, I did 8 songs this week.
I love Ellington. Yes, he's amazing.
I'm curious if you guys recognize anybody.
Yes, I recognize Hound Dog. They did a cover of Hound Dog at the last year's Academy here in Abuja. So it was really amazing. So yes, I'm familiar with Hound Dog by Big Mama Thornton.
Yeah, Big Mama Thornton. I'm happy to start there because...
Yeah, start there.
Yeah, so I'm an a cappella singer. That was like how I got my start in music, is singing with other people. And I always got charged with singing Hound Dog. And I knew it from Elvis, which is, I think, where a lot of people know this song. But Elvis neither wrote this nor recorded it first. He just maybe got more press from it. Big Mama Thornton is responsible for this song. She recorded it actually 4 years before Elvis even put it out. And there are more verses and there are more lines, and it's sung a little bit differerly. And I remember when I learned the quote Elvis version, I was listening to the lyrics like, what is this song about? You ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time. And I was like, I don't know who this is referring to. And it made no sense to me because I was like, why in the world is Elvis Presley singing this song about a hound? And then you look it up, and it's Big Mama Thornton is talking about this song. It's about a guy. It's about a guy who's just like...
It's about a dude.
It's about a dude. Exactly. And so she's basically calling him a hound dog. And this song is about... So it really, when I learned that, it kind of changed it for me. So it felt funny that I was covering an Elvis version of him covering this Big Mama Thornton version of a song that really, in a roundabout way, has nothing to do with what I thought it had anything to do with. So I really wanted to include this song on here just as like a way to say this song goes way back to something other than I think what we're all used to hearing. Broadly, it speaks to a lot of white artists at that time were either given these songs by black writers or they re-recorded them in ways that were then pushed and made to be more, financially successful because there's a big advertising machine behind it. So You have a lot of black artists from that era that really were responsible for music that was written in big, but never really got the publicity that some of the white artists did. So
I see.
So anyway, that I don't know where Elvis falls into that, how much culpability he has, but he's still widely loved by many. A lot of people don't like him as well, including my sister, who's probably listening to this. She doesn't like Elvis at all. So that's Big Mama.
I've always kind of felt nothing about Elvis, but Big Mama Thornton, I think, is always amazing. But
yeah,
Elvis, I'm just like,
Yeah.
Dumb.
But Elvis,
his voice is fine. His nose is really small.
His nose is small. What?
He has a very small nose.
Hang on, gotta look up the Elvis nose. I don't need to type Elvis nose. I can just type Elvis because I'm sure his nose comes with any.
It's not that important.
Well, I want to know that. What is the?
Nothing but a hound dog.
I don't know. It looks like it.
Is it small? Do you agree with me?
No, it just looks like a nose.
He has a small nose. Okay, anyway, enough of Elvis's nose.
Oh my god.
Let's carry on.
Good. All right.
Tara and Bella are back. That's all that matters.
I know Tara and Bella are like, we have these big, beautiful songs that
again.
mean something about our president. And we're like, well, what about Elvis's nose? That's really...
But as they said, that is also important. We cannot just only live in and plus you have activist songs here. I see.
I do have activist songs here. I'm going to jump up to Mood Indigo.
Yeah, you ain't been
it's a long song, so take that, Fela Kuti. I know you have 24-minute songs, but this one's 15 minutes and 26 seconds. Some cool trivia about this is that apparently he wrote this in 15 minutes while he was waiting for his mom to make dinner or something like that. It was.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Which is weird because it's a 15 minute and 26-second song. So
this recording is, though the original song is just the short standard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So so it was written very quickly. I had to look up more into it because I just, for what it's worth, I just like the vibe of it. I don't always find myself attracted to kind of jazz songs in general, but there are some that really stick out in my ear, and like that, I like that. And this one, I think that like the melody of the piano line in the very beginning is really intriguing. And then as I looked more into it, it was kind of revolutionary because it flipped the voicing of things. So all of the like the lower instruments, like a trombone or whatever, like they put that on top of the arrangement so that it's playing the high notes, and then the high noted instruments are towards the bottom. So it's this like different tone, and maybe that's why it's attractive to me, is that it stands out amongst sort of the other palette of jazz from that era, that like the sound is just different.
It's cool.
Duke Ellington really changed jazz, and I think pretty much anybody now who's a jazz musician would call him an influence. He was part of the Jazz Ambassadors as well, and so I like the song, so it made the list. I'm gonna go to On the Nature of Daylight, which is you have heard the song. If you've watched the movie, you have heard the song. Basically, it has been synced to like dozens of huge blockbusters. Keep using the song. I think I first heard it in Arrival, and it showed up in another one. I think Handmaid's Tale had it in it, and it's sort of like this testament to how instrumental music can still be impactful. I think I love film scores, and I love big sounds, and this one isn't a big production, but it like makes you feel something infinite and eternal, and so that's the only way I can describe that, and I like it.
You know that Max Richter is like a super famous Western classical composer, right?
Yes, and I think he's done some stuff with Philip Glass. And
they're all in kind of this, they're
like in the circle of makers of things. But Philip Glass made an earlier podcast as somebody that put something that got synced to a different
I'm learning that
piece.
Richie is into minimalist classical symphonic music. I love this. All the years I've known you, I never knew this side of you, so that's cool.
Maybe I never knew this side of me. Maybe I'm just like, oh, I like that, and now I start to find a trend of things, and if that's what it is, then so be it.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of want to talk about Nekki. She's an artist that we worked with in Colombia when I was there. She's actually from Chile, and is just this like force. The way she sings, it's somewhere between hip hop and R&B, and like she kind of raps, she kind of sings. Her music and production tends to be like this, like you can really hear the Afro-Cuban style like of instrumentation and rhythm, but then it like pulls on hip hop. And for me, she is really this like through line of where hip hop is now and where it came from. And of course, there's a ton of artists and a ton of musicians that like represent those landmarks on that lineage, if you will. But Nekki, I had to throw in there 'cause she's amazing. And the title means my roots, and she's talking about her, not just like where she's from, but like the video has people each other doing each other's hair, and so like it's kind of like this deep connection between like who you are, where you're from. So I love this song. I love Nekki. She's a heck of an artist, and
she's Colombian.
She's Chilean. We did a program in Colombia. Speaking of JC Caprice, so Nekki was part of that program, and
nice.
Include her on the list. Yeah, you got to check her out. She's cool. She's really cool.
I'll do.
She's like one of those people where you're around her and you're like, I'm not cool enough to talk to you. I don't know. I need to like fix myself up or something. You know what? Anyway, so moving on, I'm gonna go to Zombie, because Zombie, it's a song that touches on a really deep historical moment, and I think some of our recent videos have done this too. The conversation about India was around these protests where students were being affected, and there's violence that came out of protest. This song was written about the IRA, which is when Ireland and England were fighting each other, and there was a bombing, and it killed 2 kids. And this song was kind of like, what are you thinking? Like, what's even in your head? It was a protest song responding
no idea.
to that moment. It's a cool song. I think they always play it at Halloween because it says zombie, and you think, oh, it's just about zombies. But the depth of it really has to do with the IRA. I love music that says a lot more than you think it says.
Richie, just so you know, Tara and Bella have to go. Their network is tripping off. So, okay, listen. Both of you, thank you if you can hear me, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to see both of you. Thank you for making the time. And we'll send you both of our lists and you can listen. I'll blab about mine. You guys can listen later. We can talk more later. But
thank you,
I hope we can have you guys back again.
I hope so. And this time we need to get into your playlist because I'm sad that we're not able to do that right now. But thank you both so much. So much for having us. Yes, this was amazing. Thank you. Sending you very tight virtual hugs. Love you guys.
Just so everyone knows, we were navigating internet connectivity issues from Nigeria, but they wanted to hear our playlists. They had told us specifically that they wanted to hear the music we were listening to also. So Richie and I are just going to keep on trucking.
Keep it on.
Share our playlists, and y'all can hear our thoughts of the week and Bella and Tara's thoughts of the week, and they can hear it too, and everything will be fine.
It'll all be fine.
I'm fine. Everything's
it's all fine. Nobody's going to know. How are they going to know?
Nobody's going to know. How do they know?
So we'll pick up right where we left off.
Okay.
I was talking about Zombie, which is
crazy.
Yeah, it's like...
I had no idea.
Well, why would anybody have any idea? A lot of these songs, it's like... Of the words in Zombie, I think everybody could probably quote the word zombie in there. Zombie, or like how her voice crack does that amazing thing. And outside of that, in your head, like that's probably about what people could quote from that song.
Yeah,
and that's okay. I don't begrudge anybody for not knowing all the lyrics. In fact, I'm pretty notoriously bad for not knowing the lyrics of stuff, including songs that I've written. There's a video of me in front of a very big audience, and I couldn't remember the lyrics. All we've got is us tonight. I couldn't remember anything after that, so I just kept repeating that line for the next over and over. Because the show goes on, and these were in different countries that English wasn't always the first language. So, if I just keep singing the same line and make it seem like it's a remix, chill out. Anyway, so Zombie by the Cranberries. Next time you listen to it, you have kind of a deeper impression of it. Actually, that'll segue into this next song. But I think I think America's in a weird place. That may be the understatement of the millennium, but
this is fine. Everything's fine.
One of the 8 million arguments that is going on in the United States right now is. Are you American? A lot of people would still define themselves as saying like, oh, I'm Irish and German, or I'm Lithuanian and Hungarian and part Irish and part Scottish. That's a lot of, I remember having those conversations as kids. You would kind of talk about where your grandparents were from. And America's in a spot now where we've had enough generations now where that line is starting to get confusing.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I don't know how to reconcile that, because a lot of human history is migratory. If you go all the way back, there's some evidence that says everything started around kind of Ethiopia or that Fertile Crescent area. That's like the beginnings of humanity. And then there's some evidence of maybe in where China is now. Like there's a lot of the starting points. And even in, we talked about Christianity, you talk about the Garden of Eden. And if you take that as sort of this literal idea, we all started in one place and moved out. And to that end, everybody is sort of a migrant or immigrant. And what do we call ourselves now? And do you call yourselves an American? Or it's just a huge discussion that I've decided to wade into here now as a segue.
Let's put that clip on social media and see if that goes viral.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I have no qualitative take on it other than it's a confusing place to be. And I don't know what to call myself. Maybe that's the answer. I've lived in Australia. I've lived in Colorado. I was born in Colorado. I've moved to Los Angeles. I've lived in Canada for a while. So there's a lot of places I've been, and I don't know if I, like, the moment you set foot in that place and declare residency or whatever legal status you have somewhere, if you become that or not, if you have 3 passports, are you, only a third American or a third,
Right.
it's like there's a lot of, it's just kind of an existential discussion that
It really is, and I want to jump into
having.
that so badly. That's why I talk about being from Alaska all the time. And it's funny because I am not, native Alaskan with a capital N. Like my family, my parents moved to Alaska halfway through their lives, and I had the privilege of getting to be born in such a beautiful place. But my people are not from there. We're living on native land, and but then at the same time, I've lived in Texas for very little time. Like, I moved here officially a year ago. I was living here kind of part-time for a while. I'm not a Texan. I lived in New York City for 15 years, so I do feel like I could come closer to calling myself a New Yorker. I lived in India for a while. I'm definitely not Indian. And it's interesting when you go to foreign countries and they ask where you live, and if I say I live in Austin, then they immediately see me as Kate, who is Texan, who is from Texas, and she represents that culture. And a lot of people who don't live in America, and even people who do live in America, like, our cultures from state to state are very different. The culture of being from Alaska is very different from the culture of being from Texas. And they both have their pros and their cons. But it's weird because it's like this whole idea of, like, I am American, I am this, I am that. You're right. It's really complicated. And remember the other week I was talking about who drew these lines that identify which, and a lot of it traces back to colonial rule. A lot of it traces back to pretty dark stuff in our history. And at the same time, for so many people, that's such an important part of being able to claim belonging somewhere and claim heritage somewhere. And sometimes I feel like even our names, Richie, like, we were given our names at birth, and that's so much. How do we label who we are in any? I think that's why I like music. Like, music goes beyond these labels. It's even this discussion of, like, what is it to be a woman or a man, and what of that is inherited genetically, and what of that is inherited or conditioned through, millennia of societal definitions of things. Basically, it's just, and with Bella and Tara talking about religion, and I'm Protestant, I am Catholic, I am Muslim, I am Jewish, I am atheist, I don't know. All of these labels just start to make me feel a little bit weird in some kind of a way.
Yeah.
But I respect why people want and need them. I just sometimes wish they didn't have to limit us so much.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I almost feel like people, maybe we take on an identity that works the best for the place that we're in, whether geographically or temporally or whatever. If I live in Colorado, I am a Coloradoan. Or if I live in Los Angeles, maybe I'm, I lived in Australia, and that identity is what I take with me. And just whatever works best. I don't know. So we have these kind of fluid identities. Anyway, big questions.
It's hard to be like, oh, I am not enough of this for people to believe that I am this thing, and I'm too, like, my little comparison. I have a lot of friends in America who are, for example, Indian, but they were born in America, and they feel in America that they, their Indian heritage is important because they've had to endure prejudice and racism and different othering in this country as Indian people. Sure. And then they go to India and they have to deal with feeling like they're not accepted in the same way as a part of Indian culture because they're also American. And there's this weird in between that they have to struggle with. And the closest comparison I could say I feel is that I still identify myself as Alaskan because Alaska is my home. I love it. I talk about it all the time. I talk about it because I love it. It's the one place in the world that I feel like I know it's a part of me, or I'm a part of it. But then I have friends who still live in Alaska, and they're still going through the difficult, dark, cold winters, and they're still dealing with all of the good and bad realities of being full-time Alaskans.
This is their...
And they get a little bit annoyed, which I also understand. They get a little bit annoyed with those of us who are, now no longer in Alaska, still talking about Alaska all the time. And, oh, we've got the best salmon. And they're like, well, you didn't go salmon fishing this year. Like, what do you know? And I know.
There's plenty of people who live in Alaska that don't go salmon fishing. But no, the point remains.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
But then if I can't call myself Alaskan, then what am I? Am I Texan? I'm not Texan. Like, I guess I'm just Kate.
Yeah. Yeah, which can feel lonely when you're just you.
Yeah.
And hard to understand yourself from your own perspective. What is a point without another point? And maybe that's why we seek out other people or God or belonging to a community or I don't know. Anyway, this is
a beautiful way to put it. Anyway, where was this going, Richard?
I'm Coloradoan. I'm from Colorado. All right, I have some trivia. Colorado, you've seen it on a map. How many sides does Colorado have? The state of Colorado. How many sides?
I want to say that Colorado has 4 sides, but because that's so obvious, I know you're going to tell me it's not. So how about I say 5? 5 sides.
Okay. Yeah, you guessed the reasoning right, is that it's way more than 4. It's way more than Colorado has 697 sides because when they drew these maps, so first of all, most of the West was drawn based on like latitudes, and they just started dividing states, and they're like, oh, that state has too much, and we should cut that. And so most of the West just are these like kind of big blocky states, plus or minus a rectangle. And Colorado, they when you draw a rectangle on a sphere, it doesn't fold right, and so there were a lot of like oops moments where they'd put the fence in the wrong place, or they were drawing a line and it went over there, and they had to reconnect it, and so like at a lot of little points, it doesn't exactly end up being a straight line. So Colorado has, even though it looks like a rectangle, has 697 sides.
See, this whole thing, it's all so like slime molds wrote our highway systems. You know what I mean? Right. Like nothing matters, everybody. Nothing. Everything matters and nothing. Anyway.
Whoa. But anyway, I bring that up because when Colorado was being formed, it was part of the gold rush and the silver rush and all these rushes that went out to the west from all these East Coast people that went out this way to make their fortunes. When they went out, they found that there were people already living there, indigenous peoples and nations, everything from Navajo, Cherokee, so many different peoples. And when they were in Colorado, they wanted to clear out any of these people that were already living there because they wanted the land. And that was what the Wild West was. It wasn't a super long period of time, but it was really violent. And there was this big massacre called the Sand Creek Massacre when I think it was the Arapaho and Cherokee people were there, and they were holding up like, we're not fighting. It was women and children and people that weren't there causing any violence or anything like that. They held up a white flag and the American flag, and the military there ended up killing like 150 of them. It was this horrible time in history. And the song that I'm sharing here is called Fiume Sand Creek, which is Italian for Sand Creek River, which is where the massacre occurred. And it was written by an Italian guy. And I've shared songs from him before, and I brought this up in one of our recent podcasts. But he's an Italian writing about this piece of American history, which I haven't heard any other songs about the Sand Creek Massacre, but in Colorado history, it comes up quite a bit because it was a pretty significant moment. So I wanted to share this. It's in Italian, and it's this beautiful kind of upbeat song, but I always found it very interesting that somebody from another country was able to kind of see this from a different perspective and write a song about it, and it exists today. It's a gorgeous song, and so it made the list.
That speaks on so many levels. I mean, the fact that just to think that, with everything you and I have been processing with this viral reel that I was just reflecting on how I was impacted by things I was hearing about events happening on the other side of the planet, and people kind of responding to that by being like, this isn't your business, stay out of it. And yet to know that Fabrizio de André was so affected by this history that had nothing to do with him or his people. I think it's really powerful that you shared that, especially at a time like this, especially talking to Bella and Tara too. And I think what happens to anyone affects all of us. Mm-hmm. And the more we can look at the world that way, I think the better off we'd all be. But
yeah, totally. I like how I end a meaningful discussion with the word totally.
It's all right. I just rambled. Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead response.
That
Good,
was
Richie.
a really cool song, though. That's a very thoughtful, very, very profound to share.
Yeah, enjoy it. And if nothing else, you just like the music, then listen to that. But yeah, if you want to dig deeper, there it is. And I was feeling my activist oats here a bit, and I had some Sinead O'Connor on the brain. She was an amazing artist. I think just recently she passed away, if I'm not mistaken. There's this amazing scene when she was protesting the church. This was back in the 90s. Pope John Paul II was in power. And until recently, we didn't know that there were a lot of priests that were abusing younger altar boys. So Sinead O'Connor was kind of part of the early protest for that. And she was on stage and tore up a picture of John Paul II. And the crowd let her have it. And they started booing, and really, she's standing there, and you can see she's just standing in front of this microphone. It's on video, and Chris Christopherson, who was a writer back in the time, he came out and kind of gave her this hug, and I apparently whispered in her ear something like, "Don't let the bastards get you down," and he ended up writing a song about Sinead O'Connor, and most of her work was kind of protest songs. This song came on my headphones the other day, and it's just like, well, it's all going to hell, and you want to just grab a drink? And it kind of is like, oh, I feel that. I was looking for a happy hour the other day, and maybe that's why this came through my algorithm. And
podcast algorithm playlist, social media,
all the same notes. But it's from
AI. Sorry.
Kate is a robot now. I'm not even talking to you. I'm just talking to a robot. But it's just from 1987, and it's some of the same feelings that she was feeling. Still, it resonated today.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
She's rad, and I think that's just about all on my list. But
Die schöne Sterne. Stein.
Die schöne Sterne. This is a beautiful palate cleanser. This is like nothing you would hear on this list or many other lists. We did this fabulous tour in Germany, and we went actually down to Switzerland, and we went to a little town called Appenzeller, and it's gorgeous. Like, you're in this hotel, and the bells are ringing, and the hills are alive with the sound of music, and it's green and verdant and gorgeous, and it was just absolutely wonderful. And we did an a cappella showcase with them. They had a whole a cappella concert. They had us on there. We'd sing high energy pop music, and then they had a bunch of other groups, including these guys who do this. It's not words, it's just kind of syllables, and it is maybe yodeling is as best as I could describe it. And they just harmonize, and there were 12 of them, and they had these big cowbells in different sizes, and they would play them, and it's just loud and long. Their songs are super long. This is an 8.5 minute recording, but they would do 10-15 minutes, and you're like, all right, is this over yet? There's so much singing, but it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it just completely exemplifies these hills and these people that are out there herding sheep and cows and up there in the mountains. And it's, anytime I listen to it, it immediately takes me back to that place. And it also is just, it really tickles the vocal arranging part of my ear, where you can hear them singing and the overtones are coming in. It's really beautiful. I don't know why I thought of it when I was making this list, but I was like, this needs to go in here. Let's clear the palate.
I think that's amazing, and I'm really, really, really excited to hear that. We also need the verdant, peaceful, simple beauty of life. That's what we all should be having anyway. Why do we have to make it so complicated?
Yeah. But, that was there's a story in here that I forgot to talk about. So we did this tour to Europe, and I was going through a phase. Months before, I had cut my hair very short, not quite Sinead O'Connor short, but I just buzzed it. Wow. And I remember I went into the barber's, and I was like, you know what, just cut it all off. And afterwards, she was like, oh man, you kind of, it's like Samson, you've lost all your power. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? So for 4 months, my hair had to grow back. So anyways, in the process of feeling out my look and what I should look like, I was like, maybe I'll try a mustache. So we're going to Europe, and they have mustaches out there. And I don't know. I can't really grow a mustache very well, but I tried. I really tried, and it grew. Yeah, and there's some pictures out there of this phase of my life, and I remember that after the show we went down and we're drinking the Appenzeller, the liqueur that they have, and we're singing and dancing, and I was like, let me just ask this person, and I asked her, I was like, be honest with me, does this look good? Like, do you like this mustache? And she was like, 9. No, you need to shave this up. 9. Yeah. I was like, excuse me, I'll be right back. Let me find a razor at 12. And I shaved it, and I remember afterwards my band was like, oh, thank God, man, you look terrible. And I was like, what the hell? All of these months of me running around. Anyway. I tried. Well, I realized that I need to be able to take criticism more openly, because had I probably heard them early when they're like, you probably shouldn't have grown that mustache out.
But you never would have had the experience, so it's a good thing you did it.
Yeah, the experience of having a mustache when you shouldn't is quite exhilarating. Anyway, that happened in Appenzeller.
Nice.
I found this.
So now you're ending your playlist with, instead of me having this beautiful like visualization of the verdant mountains and the cows and the bells and the people singing, now I have to sit around and think about Richie with a bad mustache.
Bad mustache. That's right.
And with that, Richie is quite finished.
I'm quite finished. Thank you for listening to my list. Tara and Bella, enjoy that.
I will also.
Get well.
Not the mustache visual.
Not the mustache. You never know. Maybe
I'll enjoy it.
It's bad. I'm not going to try to talk about that. All right. That's my list. Thank you for your attention to this.
To this matter.
I
loved it. I am ready.
You're ready. Okay.
I'm ready.
Well, I hope everybody else is ready. Here is week 7. Whichever week it is. Here is the list for Kate Bass of this week. Get ready.
That is a me. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. I have thoughts already.
I want to know your thoughts before I say anything.
Okay. First of all, Clairo is on there, and I know you've been jonesing for a Clairo beat in one of the songs that you wrote, and I feel like this is a sort of a gentle push. Be like,
can we finish that song?
Can we? You. I'll let you talk about Alewife, but and then Joan Baez and Bob Dylan separated is an interesting choice, because I think they were going out at one point. Not to get into like the gossip
I wasn't thinking about that
music. And then I love Stromae.
Me too.
I don't think I know this song, but I was introduced to Stromae on one of our tours.
Yeah.
And holy moly, Anyway, I could talk about all of these things, but this is your list. So
this is my list.
Take us on a journey, Kate Bass.
Okay. Well, I started with There But For Fortune by Joan Baez. I've been thinking a lot about the singer-songwriters in America during the Civil Rights era. And I believe Joan Baez would be considered the Civil Rights era, right? I mean, that was in the 60s. So
60s, yeah. It's still going on.
Well, of course, but as we talk about in America, the 60s was this period of time where people really started to speak out in a different way, in a new way. And there were a lot of folk artists. I wasn't expecting I was going to go in this direction, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to follow the thread. There were a lot of folk artists who became really famous. And folk in America, when I say that as a genre with a capital F, it tends to mean something very simple, like a singer and a guitar, just singing. Words that they wrote very often that are stories or that have deeper meaning. It doesn't have backup dancers. It doesn't have pre-recorded beats. It doesn't have any of the extra stuff. And these people became incredibly famous for what they were singing about. I feel that there was something so powerful about this era of people just sitting behind a guitar and singing something deep that mattered to them in this particular way. It's just, there's something very specifically powerful about this style to me.
Sure. I don't know, maybe I'm romanticizing it, but I think of like the Woodstocks of the world, which, you imagine a person playing a guitar with a, flower sticker on it and singing. And that, in a lot of ways, is how grassroots happen, is like you get a few people together and you talk about things. And again, maybe I'm just sort of like romanticizing this idea of like Bob Dylan walking around, in like little studios and bars and plays a song and then talks about how, government should be doing this or that. But the idea of like folk being like
Popular
is, I don't know, it's kind of a nice idea. Some of the folks in the Recording Academy and some of the larger studios, like, they are all reckoning with AI and like pumping out thousands and thousands of songs from people just sitting in front of a computer and doing it that way. It seems like so far removed from somebody like Joan Baez. I feel like music has taken such a dramatic turn away from the real and the authentic that I would love for this kind of thing to be popular again.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. I've felt sorry for myself for a while because I was so inspired by these people, and all of the songs that I've ever written on my own were just me and the piano. I didn't really want to overproduce the songs. I cared about the lyrics I was writing. I've always wanted to be like a cool, as we've talked about, singer that's got the cool Clairo beats behind me. But, and actually I'll talk about Clairo. I'll just talk about both of these. Richie's talking about a song that I wrote with all of us, the group that we were working with in Turkmenistan, and it was based on a Sufi poem by Maktim Guli, who's one of the legendary poets of Turkmenistan. And he wrote a really beautiful poem about seeing the world, and there was something so evocative to me, and the title is "I'd Like to See the Wind on the Dagestan Hills." And so I wrote this song that was very me. It was very simple. We performed it in Turkmenistan when we were on tour for thousands of people with a full orchestra and band behind us and hundreds of people on stage. And we were doing all of these amazing blowout pieces. And then we did this song that was just four-person harmony singing about seeing the wind on the hills by the Sufi poet. And I was really affected by the fact that when we performed the song with the four of us, of course, the audience wasn't like dancing in the aisles, but they were so present and so quiet and so appreciative. And there were so many people who ended up saying that they really loved that song. And anyway, we recorded the song, and it's a good recording. But after listening to it, I felt like, in the produced recording, it would sound really good with a Clairo beat. Clairo is the artist who's singing Alewife in this playlist right after Joan Baez. And anyway, I'm going on this whole circuitous path to say that I have been very inspired by these singer-songwriters of the 60s, just as I enjoy and am inspired by current day artists like Clairo, who have much more produced music. There's something about Joan Baez in the song There But For Fortune. She's singing about how, show me all of these people in struggle. Show me the prisoner. Show me the place where the bombs are falling. Show me the people who are poor and have no food. There but for fortune, go you or I. And she's saying, we are fortunate to not be in this exact position at this exact moment in time. And that could change any second. So that's why that song affected me. And yeah. Okay. So that's There But For Fortune, and that's Alewife by Clairo. There's not a whole lot about Alewife other than it's just every time that song comes up, it's really beautiful, and it makes me feel this sense of kind of peace. And I just love it. Gates of Eden is another protest song, and it's by one of the greatest American songwriters, next to Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell and all them, of course, who is Bob Dylan. And he's famous for Blowin' in the Wind, which is another wonderful protest song. Gates of Eden is deep. I played this song for Richie when we were driving through the mountains in Colorado this December, when our entire funding structure had just collapsed. There's many lines in Gates of Eden that I could quote to everyone, but there's one where he talks about how the paupers, the poor people, are trading things back and forth, each one wishing for what the other has got. And while this is happening, the princess and the prince decide what's real and what is not. And yeah,
for a song written in the 60s, it's amazing how often some of these songs from the civil rights era, or even well before, are relevant.
Yep.
Right now.
Why can't we learn?
Bob Dylan's an interesting choice too, because he's so, I don't want to say polarizing, but some people really, really do not like him, and I think it's because of his voice. Because he sings, and it's like, I think people are, think of that as like, that's not real music or whatever. But taste is fine. But I think when you look at lyrically, what he puts down on paper is pretty spectacular. Whether or not you like his voice or his style, I think
Yeah.
this song in particular is extraordinary.
Well, and that's what I love about the singers of this era is that it really isn't about their voices. I mean, if you look not objectively, but if you look at Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell and all of them, they have beautiful voices, but they're not what we nowadays consider like smooth and seamless and shiny. Like they all have weird quirks and kind of strange sounds to them, but they're real. It's just them. It's just like, I know so much more about who I would bet Joan Baez is from the rawness of the voice that I hear her singing with versus, sorry, but like Olivia Rodrigo or someone who's got a beautiful voice, but it's so overproduced. We've put so many layers of production on it that you don't really get that same connection with the human being as you do even with Bob Dylan, who's, I don't sit around listening to Bob Dylan all the time. It's not the most beautiful singing, but he's like a singular human on this planet and not just another kind of churned out, sorry to sound shitty, but like just another churned out, beautiful, shiny.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And that's kind of, the industry thrives on that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The industry as it is. The Olivia Rodrigo she's like partnered up with American Express now to like bring you these experiences. Like if you have enough money, you can go eat at a restaurant. Like to me, I'm like, wait a minute, like how have we gotten so far away from like just experiencing life? Now you have to pay to experience life from somebody that is so wealthy, and they partnered with this gigantic corporation that could tell you what life is supposed to be and what fun is now. I don't know, like it's...
Richie, can I tell you what the beginning of the verse that I was just talking about with the poppers and the prince and princess? Do you know what the first...
I couldn't tell you.
4 words? The kingdom of experience.
Oh my gosh. Well...
Crazy, right?
The kingdom of experience. Yeah, that's right. Like,
go listen to the song.
I'm going to have to. It makes me think too of like, and oddly enough, you and I kind of met this way, but the airport lounges. And, you know, when we were traveling a fair bit more for these programs, you get to kind of go to these lounges. And for what it's worth, it's nice. It's a nice experience. But it's also like, it's just another chair behind a door.
Yeah.
And you might get a free cappuccino or a free glass of champagne. But by and large, it's not like you're, you know, in the lap of a new planet or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like they're packed now. Every one of these airport lounges is like there's a zillion people in it, and everybody has, you know, the fast check or the TSC pre-check. So that line is almost longer than the other. We have all like paid for this experience to be separate from people, and now we're all just moving as like.
Now we're just paying more for everything.
I know. Now I'm starting to become a jaded folk singer.
Well, I mean, honestly, like Richie,
what are you doing?
May we all become jaded folk singers. I'm fucking serious right now. I'm ready. You know, maybe that's this time.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where we all end up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the natural progression of like questioning something you become. Anyway,
maybe.
All right.
Well, on that note, the next song is also a protest song by a non-folk singer. Stromae is an amazing artist that I think deserves far more fame in America than Stromae has. Obviously, well, not obviously. For people who don't know Stromae is Belgian, but from Africa originally, I think. Let's just say Stromae is an artist who is very famous in Europe, as far as I know, and beyond. So this next song by Stromae, I love Stromae. I love that you love Stromae. I hope that everybody learns to love Stromae if they don't already love Stromae. This song is a protest song. It's in French. And the song, as far as I remember, it's talking about people who are underrepresented, people who are oppressed. Anyway, it's an incredible song, and Stromae is an incredible artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of looked up the title of it, and it's worth looking up if you want to know more about this song. It illuminates just about everything.
Say it, because I haven't looked. I have looked it up, but I don't remember it well enough to say it for the podcast.
Okay, so Fils de Joie is Sons of Joy, and it is a take on a figurative expression for daughter of joy, Fille de Joie, and that was a sort of old-fashioned term for prostitute or sex worker, and so.
Isn't that funny? That just
illuminates kind of the rest of the song without giving it all away.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stromae, love Stromae. The song that I remember hearing first was Papa Ute.
Yeah.
And it's so stinking catchy. It's amazing. And yeah, definitely worth listening. Anything from Stromae, but I'm excited about this song. I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah. Okay. Next song. I don't know if you know this singer. This is another singer who I'm just shocked that he's not more famous. Have you heard of Jacob Banks?
No, I've heard that phrase, by the way, about a lot of singers. Like, I don't know why they're not more famous, but
right.
That's fair. Okay, Jacob Banks, tell me.
Jacob Banks. I've heard a bunch of his stuff. I don't know how I first started learning about him, but I've known about him for years, and I just feel like there's so many songs he comes out with that I'm just blown away by. Some of which are dark, some of which are not, but his voice is incredible. Turns out he is Nigerian born. He lives, I think, in the UK now, but I didn't even realize that when I put him on my list for this week. The song actually just genuinely came up this morning, and I was like, oh, I love this song. His voice on this song is so powerful, and it's not a protest song. I think it's actually probably more about love. It's about taking a chance. Evel Knievel, for anyone who doesn't know, Evel Knievel is the famous daredevil who would ride his motorcycle over these, crazy giant chasms and, in all these crazy situations. And somehow he managed to always survive, I think. I don't know. And I
always?
think that... that's why I don't know.
The last one?
I don't know the end of Evel Knievel. Anyway, Evel Knievel was this very, very daring person. And this song, he's just basically saying, like, whatever happens... like I'm down to take a chance, like I think he says something that I like where he says, I'll take the loss if it comes with joy. So yeah. Anyway, I just really like that song. I really like Jacob Banks. I think he's an incredible singer. So I put it on.
Love it.
Reste is a French song that also I have no idea how I found out about this, but Ouidad is Moroccan and sings, I think she lives in somewhere in France now. I think she lives in Nice. I don't know. But nice. She's amazing. And she sings, she's actually famous for doing music that incorporates some more folk elements from North African music. This song isn't that, but this song for me, it's funny. Everyone this week seems to have chosen some really intense songs and then some songs that are just like, calm down.
Chill out.
Je Reste is actually a song written about, I think, about experiencing loss, experiencing the death of someone she loved. But the way that she sings the song is just very peaceful and beautiful. And I'll tie that into the next one, Let It Calm You Down by The Breath. I get really wrapped up in stuff. I am feeling heavy this week, and I don't really want to sugarcoat it, I feel that our country is going through a difficult time in so many different ways. That would be a whole nother many podcasts to get into. But there's this sensation of feeling helpless and not knowing what we can do to make it better. We can't live in the darkness all the time. We don't want to turn a blind eye to the darkness, and we don't want to pretend it's not there, and we don't want to act like it doesn't matter, or, if we don't talk about it, it won't be a problem. I was a theater performer for many years, and there's this thing that when you're performing, I'm sure you dealt with this too, you're always told when you're standing backstage and you're waiting in the wings, if you can see the audience can see you. And I think a lot of times we all get into this place where we think, I just won't look. I won't peek from behind the curtain. I'm not ready to go there. It's
just
painful.
Let the show go on stage, and I'll be in the green room eating my brown M&Ms.
And it's not just coming from some kind of selfishness or laziness. And I really don't like that right now is kind of part of this discussion, that if people don't speak out about every single issue, that means that they don't care, there are a lot of ways that people show care. Not everybody publicizes all of the good that they do. And so I think that we all could give a little bit more love and grace to each other for genuinely doing the best that we can with what we're given in the world that we were born into. So I've been feeling a lot of those emotions this week, and this song obviously is exactly what it sounds like. It's just, I'm thinking about your story about Switzerland and the verdant green and the bells, and I keep thinking, that's so important in life. It's so important to get into all these deep things, and it's also important to just enjoy beauty sometimes, because otherwise what are we fighting for? And I think that there's something political in that too.
Yeah, it's interesting to bring back up that Switzerland song, that Swiss song, because it was right up there where they would have filmed Sound of Music, which the whole theme of that is on the backdrop of war in this very beautiful, gorgeous place. And music, in a lot of ways, was the distraction that let them, escape, and by way of the sound of music. And, there's much more to it than that. But I think sometimes it's like, at what point are you escaping? At what point are you escapist? At what point are you dealing with the issues, making a difference, just living as a person? Can you even impact the show by being on stage, or is the lead singer too great anyways? You would have to go out there and, come out there with the drum and the cymbals to actually be noticed. So I don't know. There's a lot of layers to that, and what a cool. Why do I keep getting?
I don't know. But that was.
If you're just listening to this, I keep getting these stupid thumbs up. I'm gesturing a lot with my hands. And anyway, so yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. And when we were up there in Switzerland doing that show, it's like, if you think about it, you're like, oh, okay, that's where this was where the Nazis were coming through and doing terrible things. But now it's like a lovely town, and people have recovered. And that took its own level of fighting back and advocacy and challenging systems, and people fought back during that. And that was an immovable force that eventually was moved. And I don't know, there's sort of a hope in that. Even if things aren't changeable now by my own singular force, maybe if we keep pushing at things and keep flicking the curtain backstage, maybe the show is impacted. I don't know.
Well, and sometimes maybe it's, I think a lot of times we also put so much pressure on ourselves to have to always be pushing and pushing and pushing and fighting. And
True.
Sometimes maybe it is also about flicking the curtain. It doesn't always, it's not. And if we expect that it always has to be this big push, if we expect that everything always has to be the big, intense thing, then people get.
That's overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I make a difference? Maybe today you just take a breath.
I don't know what the answer is for all of us, and maybe that's something that I want to be public about. I don't know the answer for how to do everything right. I don't know the answer for how to be a good friend and a good person and a good diplomat. I don't know how to be a good advocate. I don't know how to be a good ally. I don't know how to be a good woman, to be good to myself. I don't know. None of us know. We're all just doing the best we can to listen to each other and try to respond and try to learn.
And we can only say one word at a time, and there's no way to prioritize or decide who gets our word. And we just keep doing our best. And we're not the only ones. There are 8 billion people and thousands of companies and governments and people that are way more powerful than we are and more influential, and keep doing our best.
Yeah. Last song. Okay, so in North India, there are these, many people know the Sikhs, right? They're the people in North India who wear the turbans. They follow a guru named Guru Nanak. They have this temple that's very famous called the Golden Temple in Amritsar. I think many people hopefully know about this incredibly beautiful thing that Sikhs do, which is an act of service is holy. And so people in the temple will volunteer serving food, and the food is free for anyone who is there, and everybody takes a role and serves. The Sikhs are fascinating, and I made friends with some people when I was out there who I was asking them a lot about their music and their writings and their culture. I wanted to know more about their particular aspect of being Indian. And I was introduced to a singer named Bhai Mehal Singh Ji. He turns out he's one of the most legendary singers of the Sikhs, or he's up there as far as I know, as far as I was told. And he's famous for a certain style of singing. Let me look at it so I can pronounce it right. It's called Kavishri. And it's it's vocal only. There's no instruments.
Ooh, I like
it's
it already.
it's a Sikh art form. I had heard a recording of him and been like, oh my God, what an incredible singer. I have no idea what he's singing. And it's strange. It doesn't have like a beat, but it was beautiful. And anyway, this is not that. This is him, but this is his most famous, as far as I know, his most famous recording, which is a collaboration with some other people, and there are instruments in it. But the reason why I was thinking about this person and about the Sikhs is that there are these people called the Nihang Sikhs, and they just showed up recently to the protests in India, and the videos of it are incredible. They're wearing their traditional ceremonial attire, which are these dark blue, kind of the color I'm wearing right now, which I didn't intentionally do, but these dark blue kind of purple. They have these turbans with this beautiful silver, and they carry these swords, and they're extremely regal, and they're known as being these elite warriors, and they're very, very respected. There was a video that I saw of one of these Nihang Sikhs who had arrived at the CJP protests in Delhi, and he was saying women have been hurt and molested at some of these protests, and they were there to protect their sisters. And I thought that was so cool. And then since then, I've heard stories and I've seen videos of them making sure that when the protests started to turn a little bit more towards rioting, or people started pushing back in a way that was coming too close to tensions rising to a level that everyone would regret, the Nihang Sikhs stepped in. I know very little about these people. I know very little about this tradition. I hope that I'm saying everything correctly. But as a foreigner, as an outsider, a lot of people in India were asking me to share videos that they were sending me of the protests and everything. And the Nihang Sikhs went viral when they showed up at the protests because it was such a big deal for a lot of people out there. But I realized that a lot of people in the West don't know the context of who these people are and why it's so powerful that these men in blue turbans came riding in on horseback with their swords into this peaceful protest. They were riding in to protect the situation from getting out of hand. Part of the idea behind entry points is to give people entry points into aspects and perspectives of cultures that they might not know. So I just wanted to share it so that people could know that. And I wanted to share Bhai Mehal Singh Ji because he is such a beautiful, incredible singer who I would imagine most people outside of India not only don't know it, but wouldn't understand why it's such a big deal what he's doing. He has taken this ancient art form and turned it into something that is still popular and meaningful for a lot of people. So
fabulous. That makes me think of if you've ever been at a bar and
yes, sir, I have been.
Have you been to a bar? Or anywhere, even online, and you see people, there's a conflict that starts to escalate, and you can usually piece things apart and say okay, that guy threw that glass, or he was hitting on her, he didn't like it, or you can sort of piece apart what happened. But at a certain point, it's now it's just conflict, and once you get to this that threshold is passed, now it's just fighting, and there's no way to say this is right or wrong. Now you're just at war, for lack of a better word. And then it usually takes somebody to come in and be like, guys. And it's really cool. What a lame word to use, cool. It's remarkable. It's fabulous to think of this group of people to come in and be that guy that's all right, everybody just calm down, and sort of flexing this strength or a presence that it says all right, let's come back down below the threshold so that we can get back to piecing apart the realities of this. It makes me think of so many times, and there's probably a PhD out there studying this right now, but every time there's a protest, unless literally nothing happens, unless they mow the lawns that they were walking on and go home and pick up all their trash, the other side will always complain about, they are just a violent bunch. They are just so disrespectful, or we need to go protect that place and bring our weapons to make sure that they don't burn down our, and that loses the entire point of any protest. And I think to have somebody there come in and just their presence alone is okay, whoa, these guys are here, let's take a beat. I think that's beautiful, and I wish we kind of had more of that.
What becomes complicated about righteousness is that then you have to ask who decides what's righteous and what's not. Right. So, of course, there's all of these other layers of complication, but the idea of being warriors with the purpose of keeping people safe from unnecessary acts of violence and brutality is something that I just find really fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
If you are really flexing your military muscle to then declare that you are an instrument of war instead of peace, to me, it's like you've lost the plot. You're just out here flexing testosterone and trying to have the biggest stick in the playground, and that's the guy that usually gets knocked out the fastest by everybody else. And it destroys any culture or civilization, and no credibility can you have when you go to another place and say, you relax. And it's like, no, you relax. You have no business being here in this situation.
I think another reason that I have held back to a certain degree is not because I haven't been processing politics, and not because music isn't political and culture isn't political and all of this. It's because once you open the floodgates of how much you witness as we get older and older on this planet, and we see more and more, and we see the good things go bad, and we see the bad things go good, and we see that things aren't what you think they are, and there's all these other layers, and the thing you think was the thing isn't the thing, and it's this other thing. And it's like the more we go through this, you just start to hold on to all this ambiguous grief that you don't really know what to do with, and you don't even know anymore what to fight against, and what are we fighting against, and how do we change it, and what are we changing, and what is it, and who are we? And it's just like, And I have to just say, this is why I am so proud to be a musician, because when all of these things get too big, where can we go? You can go outside, you can look at the verdant green in the hills, you can go into a place of worship, or we can go to music and art and remember that there's something deeper that we are able to express that's bigger than the Department of War.
Even when you talk about the places of worship, like going into those churches, I went to the Hagia Sophia this last year. It was always this dream to go see this beautiful place. And then you start thinking everybody that built this is, was forced to build it, or fighting between the Christians and the Muslims and the non-secular people of the world. And even that's ruined. But then when I sit down and I play the guitar for a little bit and just in my own piece, or harmonize with somebody over some Stromae song or whatever it is, that's where I find peace and unity and simplicity and all the funding and the naming of buildings and the structures and walls and passports and all the lines that are drawn. That's always been the thing that's worked. I'm grateful for it. Oh my gosh. Well, as always, we'll have these playlists in the same said show notes, and we hope you listen to them and change up whatever algorithm is feeding your ears, and hopefully that changes your life for the better.
Yeah, what
Thank
he
you,
said.
Kate. Yeah.
Thank you, Richie. Thanks for listening to Entry Points Radio. You can find the full playlist and connected links for this episode in the show notes. Subscribe for behind the scenes, playlist archives, and more at our Substack and Patreon. Your support makes our work possible. Follow us on Instagram at Entry Points Radio. If something in the episode opened a door for you, send it to a friend. That's the whole point. We'll be back next week with more music beyond the algorithm.